You are tuned in to Behind the Dish with John Piper, presented by DBAT Sports, bringing a unique perspective to the ballpark. And now your host, John Piper.
Welcome to Behind the Dish. I'm sitting here with longtime coach Mike Weatherford at the ballpark in Arlington, home of the Texas Rangers, on a fantastic March day. Coach, there's only 15 days until opening day right here at Globe Life Park versus defending world champion Houston Astros. Coach Weatherford, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you got it. I appreciate the opportunity.
I think driving in, it couldn't be any better. It's 70 degrees, the sun's shining. You got your team out here taking batting practice at Globe Life Park. What a day.
It's a great opportunity for the kids. They're all smiles, I'll tell you.
You've been in the coaching ranks for 22 years here in Texas at the high school level, and have been working with the Texas Rangers, a minor league affiliate, the Frisco Rough Riders for the last couple of years. You've been in the baseball business your entire life. When did you first know you wanted to make baseball your profession?
Well, actually, when I was in, I guess the middle school years, I always enjoyed it. I always kind of excelled at it. But all of a sudden, one day, my sophomore year in high school, I was in band, played the drums, and my band director walked up to me and said, okay, you have to choose. You're going to be in band or in sports? And, of course, it was during baseball season, and that was always my first love anyway. And I told the band director, I know I'm never going to be a rock star, but I got an opportunity to be a baseball player, so I'm going to go with that.
Well, it looks like your decision has paid off. Your day job, currently you're coaching the freshmen at Denton Guyer. Have you always enjoyed working with the younger guys?
Well, as an assistant coach, you get to work with all of the kids at all the levels. But the young ones, it's just, getting them accustomed to being part of a program, being part of a system. And by the time they get to be a senior or junior, senior, or just even on varsity, they're understanding that they have the skill level to contribute, and they have the skill level to just be successful at that level. So that's the challenge at the younger level, is getting them to that.
Yeah, and when you get them, they're a raw 15-year-old typically, and then to see a kid come into your program is I'll just use an average, and some of them are a little smaller and some of them a lot bigger than this, but 120-pound freshman, then graduate and go on to play college baseball. Must be special for you.
Oh yeah, it's a great time. When they come in, it's just getting them, on a team, tournament team, usually just traveling. They've never been part of a grind of practice and preseason and tournament season, and then into district games, that really matter. And then, sometimes they have to learn hard lessons of having to sit, a game or two because there's a guy in front of them, or there's a guy that plays that position well also, and they've got to wait their turn, or, they've got to prove to us in practice that the chance is theirs.
KJ Alexander was a recent grad that went on to play college ball locally here at Dallas Baptist. Then in the Yankees organization, there's a fine line between players that make it to the next level and don't. Coach, other than work ethic, what are the attributes you see in successful ball players?
Well, knowledge of the game is a big one. If you know what you need to do, you have that experience, you have the tools necessary to succeed, but you also have extenuating, not circumstances, but you have opportunity placed before you, and you see that you succeed. The tools that we give them as coaches, the opportunity our program has to make kids successful with places that we play, teams that we play, those are all just attributes that help a player become successful, I think.
In your opinion, I know there's probably no right or wrong answer here, Coach. Is hard work or natural athleticism more essential to play at a high level?
Well, you got to have the athleticism to succeed at baseball. You do. The hard work just fine-tunes what you already have. I mean, you can develop. You can take 40,000 swings, and you can learn to hit the curveball. But you have to have that athleticism to get your hands where they need to be, things like that. I mean, it's all – I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, and it's a tough game, no doubt about that. What area of the game is overlooked that young players should spend more time fine-tuning?
In my opinion, the mental game. Kids just need to watch baseball. I mean, I know they go out and play it, but they be aware of baseball situations, of the surroundings, of what the game calls. Do what the game tells you to do. Watching it on TV, watching college games, other high schools, when you're at the younger ranks, coming and watching the team you're going to play for. Those are all things that just help contribute to making you a great ball player.
Coach Weatherford, a lot of our audience are the younger developing athletes that you mentioned, along with their parents, trying to get an edge. So you just mentioned the mental part of the game, transitioning from practice. A lot of kids look great during BP, but then transition to that Tuesday night or that Friday night district matchup at the high school level, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday matchup at the college level, or right here at the ballpark at the major league level. What are some keys to transition that mental side from practice to game day?
Well, there's a lot of at the younger levels, there's a lot of deer in the headlights. A lot of times I think kids don't understand that you think you're doing the correct thing because, a coach has taught you that, so on and so forth. But sometimes when you're told that's not the right thing, and you're told in I guess I'd say an aggressive manner, that it's not right, and that if you want to get another chance, you're going to do it that way, or you're not going to get another chance. And kids just, as they make that transition from practice to game, it's getting them playing as a team, which is always a challenge at the freshman level, getting them to play for each other. That, on their tournament teams, they may have won a game by themselves. Well, that's not the case now. You're going to play as a team. You're going to operate as a team. When I pinch hit a kid because a kid has struck out twice and we got a runner at third base with one out and I need a ball in the outfield, and I pinch hit a kid and he does it, I take extra special time to make sure that the whole team understood that was being a good teammate. That was helping the team. He got out, he hit a fly ball, but he scored the run. And they all need to celebrate that and make sure they touch his hand when he comes in the dugout.
Man, great points, Coach. You were able to coach your own son, Jackson, and your daughter, Emma, served as a manager for your team. What was that like, having your kids in your own program?
Loved every second of it. Was able to keep Jackson on the JV with me for 2 years. And that second year, I taught him how to drag bunt and push bunt. And I used the tools he already possessed. He was never going to be a power guy for us, but he had speed. He had a good arm, and a good glove. And we used him in the outfield almost every pitch. And I think he led the district that year in bunt base hits. And that was from the opportunity of him getting a chance to learn and me teach him those things. And, of course, Emma in the dugout, she actually saved the lives of a few baseball players because I did not want my daughter to see me get lava hot on a kid when he messed up. So some of those guys need to make sure they send Emma a Christmas card every year.
Do those players know who they are, Coach?
Oh, I'm quite certain they do, very much so.
All right. Hey, switching gears a little now, Coach Weatherford, your night job is throwing batting practice to the Texas Rangers. You bring a unique skill to the ballpark in that you can throw both right-handed and left-handed. Is that true?
That is true.
Wow. It's hard enough to pitch just from one side.
That actually took me about 4 years to get the lefty down. I took videos north, south, east, and west of my motion throwing right hand, and actually Chu here in Arlington was the first one to notice that I throw exactly the same motion right-handed as I do left-handed. He was the first one to point that out, as a matter of fact.
Do you know of any other staff members of college or major league organizations that can pitch both left-handed and right-handed?
Oh, yeah. The Minnesota Twins have a guy. The Diamondbacks have a guy. I believe I want to say Toronto does. It's not. It is unique. It's not common, but it is unique. But there are guys out there like that.
And I believe we were talking before we sat down. You've been with the Texas Rangers since 2014. Is that correct?
Yes, the year of the injury, unfortunately.
Wow. Hey, we just learned earlier today, Coach Weatherford, that longtime coach and legend Augie Garrido passed away. I know you have a little history there and want to share maybe a story.
Well, it's definitely a sad day for the game of baseball. He was a true legend, but when he very first got the job at UT, he was hired and he's getting ready to come into that spring, and we were at coaching clinic down in Waco, and he was the featured speaker, and at one of the breakout sessions, and I'm sitting kind of on the side. I just kind of wanted to sneak in and just hear what he had to say. I knew he was a successful coach, and I thought, well, what's this guy going to do coming into Texas? And he comes in, he's got his Longhorn pullover on, and I sit down, and he sits next to me, and I was just kind of like, I think this is Augie Garrido sitting next to me. Holy cow! And he's sweating, and I said, Coach, you okay? And he said, well, I got to come up with a money speech right here. And I said, well, let me see your pullover because you're sweating pretty good. And he goes, yeah. Handed me his pullover. I held it, and or I was holding on to it while he spoke. And right before he walked up, he goes, you got any advice for me? And I said, well, Coach, I said, if anything, I'm a Sooner, but just give them the horns, and they'll love you forever.
Yeah, that was probably good advice, and I'm confident he was always prepared going into a baseball game, but
we had all those coaches right there, and everybody was going to probably judge him early on from that one speech. And I said, well, I'm a Sooner, but you give them the horns as soon as you walk up on stage, and they're going to love you forever. And sure enough, he walked in, both hands gave him, and I said,
oh, that's gold.
And everybody
right
goes, ah.
Coach Weatherford, what is it like being around Ranger great and Hall of Famer Pudge Rodriguez, as well as future Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre?
Well, when I very first got the job, I was pretty naive. I was sitting there going, oh, my gosh, this is Texas Rangers. So for about the first week and a half, 2 weeks, I was like a little kid. I was walking up, shaking her hand, like, pleased to meet you, and so on and so forth. And they're kind of looking at me like, look, you're here now. You belong. You just give me a bump. Just give me a fist bump. So, but one day, actually, Pudge, who can still swing it very, very well, I guess he was getting ready for not an alumni game, but a benefit game for charity. And he gets in and says, hey, I need you to throw to me. And I was like, are you kidding? You bet. I walk in the very first throw to him, and he hits that thing right back at the L screen. I thought he would take it away. He got around on it and just lit up the L screen and surprised me, kind of scared me a little bit. And I said, oh, you could still do it, can't you? And he just gave me that little Pudge smile, that little smirk a little bit. And but every time I see him now at the ballpark, he walks up, asks me how I'm doing, and I make it a point to go over and talk to him. Certainly congratulated him when he made the Hall of Fame, and asked him what it was like, and he said my life will never be the same. And I said, that's probably a pretty accurate assessment from what I see right now.
He's doing some TV work for the Rangers broadcast team. He looks like he can still go out there and play. He's always got that signature Pudge smile on his face. Just probably an infectious guy to be around.
Oh, very much so. He'll come out, and as BP pitchers, Coach Buechele, Coach Beasley, they don't go by coach, but those guys, as you would know, we warm up on the first base side there in front of the dugout, and he'll come out and he'll just pick up a glove and just start throwing with me sometimes. And I'm sitting there sometimes, I kind of have to pinch myself and go, playing catch with a Hall of Famer. Holy cow.
And what about future Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre? Boy, he just brings a spark to both the clubhouse as well as to the fan base there at the ballpark in Arlington.
I have never seen a guy that is more prepared for what he does than Adrian. He is. I mean, when he talks, everybody stops and just listens. I just have total respect for him. He's funny. He's an intense competitor. He's a great leader. He's a compassionate. He sees a kid on the side that has just been waiting 5 years to wave to him. And it's like he has this sense of he knows that, and he'll walk over and give that kid a ball or autograph it or something for him. But I can't wait to shake his hand and congratulate him. I remember when he hit his mile mark home run, his mile mark hit, 3,000s hit, and things like that. I just remember the pleasure I had in going up and telling him I'm privileged to have been a part of it, because when he was rehabbing his calf injuries last year, when he finally got cleared to be taking full swings, it would just be me and him on the field. I'd be throwing to him, and he'd be hitting. And I remember the very first one I threw to him, coming back during that rehab stint, he hit it in the Rangers bullpen, and I just turned around and looked at him and said, okay, you're ready, right? He just kind of grinned at me.
players like Beltre and Pudge